The edge of the solar system was quiet. Out past Neptune, away from the noise of Earth and Mars, a small listening station drifted in the dark. It was built from old cargo modules welded together. Inside, only 6 humans lived and worked. They were used to silence. They were used to nothing happening. On this night, the silence broke. A soft alarm blinked on a console. Lieutenant Juno Khan rubbed her tired eyes and leaned forward. Her screen showed a pulse, a pattern hidden in the normal background noise of space. At first, she thought it was just another stray signal. Then she saw the encryption header. It was Galactic Council format, high level, marked eyes only. She should not be able to see it at all. Juno called out, "Commander Hale, you need to look at this." The commander floated over, his boots magnetized to the deck. He was tall, gray-haired, and patient. He had served on 3 deep space stations. Nothing surprised him anymore. But when he looked at the screen, his face changed. "That's impossible," he whispered. The other 4 crew gathered around. They were young technicians from Earth and Luna, their faces pale in the glow of the console. The signal was repeating, each burst carrying more data. It wasn't aimed at them. It was a council message moving through the wormhole relay, but something had glitched and spilled it into normal space. They decoded the first lines. "By unanimous decision, Earth and its colonies are removed from the Alliance Charter. All cooperative programs are suspended. Human representatives are to be detained or neutralized. Classified as threat species, Tier 7. Nobody spoke for a long moment. The Galactic Council had been humanity's partner for 60 years. It had given humans access to faster-than-light drives, medical advances, and trade routes. It had called Earth a rising star. Now in one message, it had called Earth a threat. Ensign Vega, the youngest, broke the silence. "Detained or neutralized. They're going to arrest our people." Juno scrolled farther. Her hands trembled. More orders appeared. Asset seizures, embargoes, pacification measures. There was even a timetable for containment operations inside the solar system. Commander Hale straightened slowly. "We're the only ones who have seen this. It hasn't hit official channels yet. They all understood at once. If the Council knew its message had been intercepted, it would erase them too. The camera of your mind moves around the cramped control room, blinking lights, recycled air, the hum of reactors. Outside, the stars are cold and still. Inside, panic is beginning." Hale took a breath. "We lock this down. No transmissions, no chatter. We decrypt everything first, then decide what to do." The crew obeyed. For the next hour, they worked in silence, pulling fragments of the message into readable text. The picture grew darker. Earth's ambassadors on the Council had already been removed from their posts. Several had vanished on distant worlds. Cargo convoys were being delayed at checkpoints. Human colonists on frontier planets were told their permits were void. The Council was cutting humanity off piece by piece, preparing the stage. Through the thin walls of the station, the void felt heavier than usual. Vega whispered, "Why? We're not at war with anyone. We've only defended ourselves." No one answered. Juno found a final section of the transmission. It was labeled Directive Aurex. She opened it. A small window popped up, showing a single line. "Execute preliminary actions within 30 cycles. Do not allow humanity to unify." Her stomach turned. It was a plan to break Earth before it could resist. The scene shifts. In orbit above Earth, far away from the listening post, a diplomatic shuttle drifts. Inside are 3 human ambassadors, waiting for a response from the Council. They do not know that their security detail has been reassigned. They do not know that their landing permit has been revoked. As they watch the stars, a Council cruiser slides silently from hyperspace. Its weapons charge. Back on the station, the crew watch in horror as more Council data floods in. Surveillance notes on Earth's Navy, lists of priority targets, a map of the solar system with red circles where Council strike teams might enter. Commander Hale leans against the bulkhead. His voice is low but steady. "If this is true, then Earth is already under siege. We're past warnings." He opens a private locker and removes a small, sealed packet marked "For command use only." It is a physical key to a dead-drop network, a way to send a message to Earth that bypasses the Council's oversight. He looks at Juno. We can warn them, but if we transmit now, they'll trace us. We have one chance, the crew debates. In your video, you could show close-ups of tense faces, fingers hovering over buttons, the sound of distant metal groans. Suspense builds. Will they risk their lives to warn Earth or keep silent to survive? At last, Hale says, "We're soldiers. We didn't come here to hide." They begin preparing a tight beam signal aimed at an old relay hidden on the far side of Pluto. If it works, Earth will know. If it fails, the Council will know first. As they work, the message finishes decrypting. The final paragraphs are chilling. The Council has authorized special actions against any human vessel in deep space. It even names the listening station's coordinates as a future compliance check. They are already marked. Vega glances at the main viewer. A faint blip has appeared, an object moving at high speed from the outer dark. No transponder, no signature. Commander, we have company. Outside the station, something small and black drifts closer. It could be a probe. It could be a mine. It could be the Council already tying off loose ends. Hale's voice sharpens. Seal the hatches. Bring up the point defense guns. Keep sending that signal. Juno's fingers fly over the console. Signal at 60%. They'll hear us in 2 minutes. In the cold space beyond Neptune, the unknown object splits into 3. Tiny engines flare. They're heading for the station's docking port. Inside, alarms scream. The crew strap themselves to their posts. The station was never meant for battle. It has only small cannons, more for warning shots than real defense. Signal at 80%, Juno shouts. The first intruder strikes the hull. A dull boom echoes through the corridors. Lights flicker. A crewman falls, clutching his head. Signal at 90%. Another boom. The hull groans. A crack appears in the viewplate, spider-webbing slowly. Outside, a faint blue glow lights up. The intruders are cutting through. Commander Hale slams the emergency send key. Transmit now. The station shakes as the transmission leaves at light speed, carrying the Council's secret orders to Earth. In that instant, every human on board knows they have just signed their own death warrant. Signal away, Juno whispers. A deep metallic clang echoes. The outer hatch blows inward. Thin, insect-shaped drones pour through, their eyes glowing green. They carry no weapons. They are weapons. Hale draws a pistol. Hold them back! The video could show a desperate fight in zero-G. Flashes of gunfire, sparks flying as drones slash at bulkheads. The crew fight but are pushed back. One by one, the drones disable consoles, rip out memory cores, erase evidence. Juno crawls to a backup drive and shoves it into a sealed canister. She shouts, "Manual launch! Get it out!" Vega slams a button, and the canister shoots through a maintenance tube into space. A tiny beacon blinks as it drifts away. Another drone strikes. Darkness fills the control room. Only emergency lights glow. Hale grips a railing. His voice is raw. "We've done our part. Now it's up to Earth." The camera of your mind pulls back. You see the small station, once silent, now torn open like a tin can. The 3 black intruder pods drift away, their work complete. The station spins slowly, lights dying. In the distance, the canister's tiny beacon flickers, heading for the hidden relay. On Earth, the night sky is calm. People go about their lives, unaware that in deep space, their fate has just changed. A voiceover could end the episode. In the cold beyond Neptune, 6 humans heard the Council's true voice. They spoke to no one. They had only a signal, a warning, a hope. And as the stars watched, the betrayal began. Fade out. The warning from the listening post reached Earth 2 days later. It arrived as a scrambled packet hidden inside an old weather report channel. Only a handful of analysts in a dark basement under Geneva recognized what it was. They decoded the message and felt their blood run cold. The Galactic Council had branded humanity a threat. Orders for detainment and neutralization were already in motion. They sent the information up the chain. But it was too late to stop the first blows. A small diplomatic ship from Earth dropped out of hyperspace above the alien world of Carthis, a long-time ally. The planet had once been full of glowing cities, coral towers rising from blue seas, and open ports where humans and Cartesians traded freely. From orbit now it looked dead. The cities were dark, the oceans grey. Sensor sweeps found no active power grids, only scattered fires and faint heat signatures. There were no landing beacons, no friendly hails. The crew stared at the screens in disbelief. Just a week ago, the Cartesian embassy on Earth had promised safety. Now even the orbital defense ring had been stripped away. The captain ordered a cautious descent. As the ship entered the atmosphere, smoke streaked across the clouds. The once vibrant capital lay in ruins, buildings toppled like broken shells. Streets were empty except for drifting ash. When they finally landed near the old trade square, the silence felt heavy, like a physical weight pressing on their suits. They fanned out, calling on open channels, but only static answered. Here and there, they saw scorch marks that were unmistakably Council weapon signatures. The betrayal was not a plan on paper anymore. It had been carried out in fire. Then a faint movement caught one officer's eye. Between two collapsed arches, a small shape stumbled forward and fell. They rushed over. It was a Cartesian child, skin dull, eyes clouded. It clutched a broken data crystal and whispered a single word in its own language before losing consciousness. The word meant warning. They carried the child back to the shuttle, their minds racing. If the Council had done this to Carthis, what had happened to the other allies? News came fast and grim. Convoys from the Jovian moons vanished without distress calls. Human merchants at neutral stations reported closed doors and silent docks. Alien governments that had been friendly yesterday refused contact today. Outposts at Barnard Star and Tau Ceti went dark. No one answered. Each day another link to the galaxy dissolved, leaving Earth more isolated. In hidden rooms on Earth, leaders argued. Some wanted to strike first. Others wanted to plead. But the evidence was clear. Ambassadors were gone, colonies threatened, and now allies wiped out. The Council's strategy was to make humanity alone and afraid before moving in. Fear spread through the public channels. People whispered of disappearances, of Council agents stirring unrest, of fleets assembling beyond sensor range. Meanwhile, the survivors from the Carthis mission analyzed the data crystal the child had carried. Inside was a fragmentary record of the attack. Council ships appearing without warning, demands broadcast on all frequencies, and then orbital bombardment. The Cartesians had tried to signal Earth, but their relays were jammed. The child had been part of an evacuation convoy that never left the ground. The last entry showed a Council officer stating that cooperation with humans carries penalty. It was proof the Council intended to punish anyone who stood with Earth. The story spread quietly through the underground networks of spacers and free traders. Some captains offered to smuggle supplies to human colonies. Others went silent, afraid of retribution. In the void between stars, trust itself was vanishing. Earth's Navy began to regroup at hidden coordinates, recalling patrols and sealing off hyperspace lanes. But its numbers were small compared to the Council's grand fleets. Every move had to be secret. Every decision could mean survival or destruction. Far from the solar system, in a dim station orbiting a red dwarf, an old alien elder sat before a cracked screen showing news of the Carthis massacre. He had known humans in their earliest ventures, had seen their stubbornness. He whispered to his apprentice, "They will not stay silent. They have their own word." The apprentice shivered but said nothing. The elder closed his eyes, wondering how long until that word was spoken. On Earth, the child from Carthis lay in a med bay, breathing shallowly, surrounded by doctors and security agents. When it woke, it reached out a trembling hand and repeated the same warning word again. Its eyes locked on a map of the solar system on a nearby wall, as if trying to point to something. Analysts leaned in. What was it trying to tell them? Was an attack already on the way? The lights flickered. Somewhere deep underground, alarms began to sound. A new packet had arrived from a covert sensor net at the edge of the Oort cloud. It showed faint energy signatures, multiple council vessels slipping into the system under stealth. They were not broadcasting any codes. They were heading inward, slow and patient like hunters. The analysts exchanged looks. It was starting sooner than anyone thought. In the skies above Earth, ordinary people watched meteor showers, not knowing some of the streaks were drop pods carrying council agents. Ships at Mars reported strange glitches in their navigation. At Luna's far side, a hidden yard prepared something no one outside a tight circle knew existed. An answer built for the day of betrayal. The silence of Carthys and the vanishing of allies had done what no treaty ever could. It unified the inner circle of human leadership. They stopped arguing. They began to plan. Somewhere in that planning, an old command word was spoken, never yet transmitted but kept ready. They would not reveal it now, not yet. But when it came, the galaxy would feel it. And out beyond Neptune, drifting among the stars, the small canister launched from the doomed listening post still blinked. Its signal hopped from one dead relay to another, inching toward Earth. Inside it, every line of the Council's orders waited, a cold testament to treachery. If it reached its destination, humanity would have proof. If it was intercepted, there would be nothing left but rumors and ruins. As the episode closes, the camera of your imagination can pull back from the dying alien world, past the silent trade routes, past the stealth ships sliding inward, to the blue dot of Earth glowing against the dark. Viewers are left with the sense of a noose tightening, of time running out, and of a hidden word waiting to be spoken that could change everything. Deep under Antarctica, in a cavern of black ice carved long before the Council ever knew Earth existed, a forgotten project waited. Officially, it did not exist. Its funding had been hidden inside weather research budgets, its engineers sworn to secrecy and then scattered. For decades it slept humming faintly in the dark, buried under a mile of frozen rock. Now, as messages of betrayal spread and allies fell silent, a coded signal flickered across a private network and the project stirred. The command center was small, more like a submarine than a base. Old monitors glowed with green text. Pipes rattled as cryogenic pumps started for the first time in years. Two figures stood in the doorway. Director Anya Rourke, who had designed the project in her youth, and Commander Elias Grant, the officer now responsible for it. They had both sworn it would never be used. It had been built only as a last resort, a deterrent for a day that should never come. But the day had come. Above them, the world was waking to news of Carthys and vanished convoys. In secret meetings, leaders argued whether to beg or fight. Rourke's secure phone buzzed with new images. Council ships massing beyond Pluto, invisible to civilian sensors but clear on deep radar. She looked at Grant. "They're coming," she said softly. He nodded once and turned the heavy key built into the control panel. Somewhere below, a series of locks disengaged with a slow, metallic clang. Long corridors lit up one by one, revealing rows of strange machinery. It was not a single bomb or gun, but an entire system, part software, part field generator, part something that even the engineers could barely explain. The Council had called it impossible. Rourke had proven them wrong, and then buried it to keep it out of everyone's hands, including her own government's. They had given it a codename that no one now dared speak aloud. In the files, it was simply the word. She walked along the catwalk above the heart of the machine, boots echoing in the cold air. Below her, arrays of black crystal glowed faintly as if aware. "It's still stable," she whispered. Grant followed, his breath a cloud. "Will it even work?" he asked. "We never tested it at scale." She didn't answer. Some technologies were safer, untested. At the same time, far out in the solar system, fragments of the Council's forces were slipping into hidden positions. Human freighters were being stopped and boarded. Stations went offline without explanation. Every hour brought new losses. In the underground base, a small team of operators took their seats at ancient consoles, hands trembling. They were volunteers who had trained in silence for a job they hoped would never arrive. On their screens flickered live feeds of star charts, Council fleet movements, and encrypted directives from Earth's emergency command. A faint vibration shook the cavern as generators came online. Ice cracked along the ceiling. The machine's heartbeat grew louder, a low thrum that rattled the bones. One technician murmured, "It's like it knows." Another whispered, "Maybe it does." They crossed themselves, an old habit from before the stars. Rourke opened a metal case. Inside lay a small black module shaped like a tongue, etched with alien-looking symbols. She had designed it as the trigger. Whoever spoke into it while it was connected would activate the system everywhere at once. It required only a single word, a coded syllable that no Council decryption could guess. Once spoken, it would do what it was built to do: shut down every wormhole gate and hyperspace lane in range except those tagged as human. It would blind the Council and free humanity's ships in one strike. But it would also mark Earth forever as a rogue civilization. There would be no going back. Above ground, storms tore across the ice shelf. Supply aircraft landed under cover of night, offloading components and security teams. The pilots asked no questions. Inside the cavern, the last pieces fell into place. Engineers ran final checks. Numbers scrolled across the monitors, green turning to amber, then to red. Grant looked at Rourke. "When do we tell them?" She shook her head. "Not yet. The Council isn't close enough. We only get one chance." In orbit around Mars, a small special operations ship received sealed orders. Its captain, a man with haunted eyes, opened the packet and read. His hand hovered over a short list of codes. One was labeled simply "Word Ready." He closed the packet and locked it away. No one else aboard knew. Down in the Antarctic cavern, the machine's glow brightened. It was awake now, pulsing with a rhythm like a heart. Outside, the ice cracked again, echoing like a distant gunshot. One of the younger technicians turned to Grant. "Sir, I think it wants to be used." Grant forced a grim smile. "Machines don't want. People do." In the halls of power on Earth, ministers whispered about rumors of a hidden weapon. Some dismissed it as myth. Others prayed it was real. None of them knew it was already primed. In space, Council ships closed their nets tighter, preparing to strike. On scattered human outposts, civilians packed emergency shelters, sensing something terrible was coming. Rourke stood alone before the trigger module, fingers resting on the etched symbols. She thought of the listening post, of the dead cities of Carthis, of the child clutching its broken crystal. She thought of all the promises of peace broken by the Council. "One word," she murmured. "Just one." Grant approached. "When the time comes, will you speak it?" She looked up, eyes hard. "If not me, someone will. We didn't build this to surrender." The hum of the forbidden weapon filled the cavern. It was like a storm building under the ice, unseen but inevitable. In the shadows, the operators watched their screens, waiting for the order. Above them, the world slept, unaware of what was waking below, and far out in the dark. In the gap between the stars, a Council scout ship picked up a faint pulse it had never seen before, a signature buried deep in the planet's ice. Its commander frowned and filed a report. Somewhere in the labyrinth of the Galactic Council's data networks, a new tag appeared beside Earth's name: "Unknown asset detected. Priority." The hunt was tightening. In the cavern, a single light turned green. The system was fully armed. A voice on the intercom whispered, "We're ready." The forbidden weapon waited, humming softly, as the last threads of humanity's old life unraveled above. Soon, someone would speak the word, and nothing in the galaxy would be the same. Dark clouds rolled over the Pacific as a sleek black carrier ship lifted from the water and rose into the night. Inside, Captain Rowan Cole sat alone in a narrow command room, a sealed steel case on the table before him. The case was small enough to hold in one hand, but heavy with weight far beyond its mass. Inside lay the trigger module that Anya Rourke had built under Antarctica, the only way to speak the hidden word and wake the forbidden weapon. Cole had been chosen because he had nothing left to lose. He had lost his family in a Council containment action at Barnard's Star. He had fought in secret skirmishes the news never reported. Now he carried Earth's last card close to his chest. He was to move toward Neptune, link with the hidden fleet gathering in the shadows, and wait for the signal to act. He was not told what the word would do. He was told only to speak it when ordered, without hesitation. Above him, the stars wheeled. Around him, the solar system tightened like a noose. Council ships crept closer under stealth, invisible to civilian sensors, but clear on his warship's screens. Every hour brought another disappearance, a freighter gone missing, an outpost offline, a border station evacuated. The Council's strategy was working. Fear spread. Allies were gone. Humanity was alone. On Earth, in a dark underground room, Anya Rourke watched data scroll across a wall of screens. Beside her, Commander Grant clenched his fists. They were tracking the fleet, counting Council movements, watching the trap close. "How long do we have?" Grant asked quietly. Rourke stared at the numbers. "Hours, maybe less." She thought of the trigger module now in Cole's hands, moving outward through space. She had built a weapon to be used only once. Now the moment was coming faster than she wanted. In the black between planets, Cole's ship drifted with engines cold, masquerading as a dead freighter. His crew of 20 moved like ghosts, speaking little. They had been told to prepare for a high-risk mission, but not what it was. Only Cole knew. He sat with the sealed case, listening to the faint tick of a countdown device inside. It was not a bomb. It was a synchronizer. When it reached 0, the word could be spoken, and the system would be ready. He thought of what it might do. Would it cripple the Council? Would it kill millions? Would it mark humanity forever as monsters? The question churned in his mind. He had obeyed every order in his career, but this one felt like a blade. He had to hold himself. Far away on the rim of the solar system, human ships gathered in secret rendezvous points. Old miners refitted with cannons, stealth corvettes painted black, mothballed cruisers brought back to life. They were too few to fight a war, but enough to strike back if the Council was blind. Whisper networks among civilian spaces spoke of the word, without knowing what it was. The rumor alone gave people hope or fear. In Council space, high above a blue-green moon, alien admirals held a private meeting. They spoke in low tones of a human weapon hidden under ice, of a signal detected, of a captain carrying something dangerous. Their orders were clear: intercept and neutralize before activation. A fleet of sleek hunters detached from the main armada and began to stalk the solar system, silent and invisible. Cole sat in the dark of his cabin, staring at a photo of his family. Outside the viewport, Neptune was a pale dot. His ship floated with no lights. He felt the seconds slipping away. He unlocked the steel case and lifted the module. It was warm, heavier than it should be, etched with symbols he did not recognize. A single recessed microphone waited for the word. A soft display pulsed, counting down. 10 minutes. He closed his eyes and breathed. On Earth, alarms began to sound in Rourke's control room. Council ships were moving inward in 3 spears aimed at Mars, Luna, and the hidden yards. Grant slammed a fist on the console. "They're early," Rourke whispered. "We're not ready." "He's not in position." She opened a secure channel. Static. The Council was jamming everything. She tried again. Nothing. She could not tell Cole to wait. She could not tell him what to do at all. Cole's ship picked up the first ghost signatures, shapes sliding through the dark, too fast, too quiet. "Council interceptors." The crew looked to him, eyes wide. "Sir, they're vectoring on us," the sensor officer said. Cole's hands tightened on the module. 5 minutes. If he spoke the word now, would it work? If he waited, would they die? He thought of his orders: speak only on command. But no command was coming. Only silence and the enemy closing in. Engines roared to life. His ship turned, heading for a deep space relay that could carry a last warning to Earth. Interceptors followed, closing the gap. Weapons hummed. Alarms blared. The crew strapped in. "Captain?" the helmsman asked. "What do we do?" Cole held up the module. "We do what we must." 3 minutes. The Council ships were close enough to see now, black and sleek with glowing eyes. They fired warning shots across the bow. Cole's ship shook. Sparks showered from a console. The countdown pulsed red. 2 minutes on Earth. Rourke stared at the dead channel. Grant whispered, "If he waits, he dies. If he acts, he might doom us all." She closed her eyes and whispered, "Rowan, please." But no sound reached him. 1 minute. Cole stood, module in hand. "All hands brace," he said quietly. The crew gripped their seats. Outside, the council ship spread into an attack formation, claws extended. Cole raised the module to his lips. "This is for all of us," he said. The display showed 0. The microphone glowed, and then nothing. A deep shudder ran through the hull as the first council shot struck home. The bridge went dark except for the glow of the module. Cole's voice was steady. "We're out of time." He leaned forward and began to speak. The screen fades to black. Viewers are left hanging on the edge of the moment, not yet knowing what the word will do, only that it is about to be unleashed and that the galaxy will never be the same. Flashes of blue light tore across the sky above Mars as thousands of human ships lifted off at once. Families pressed against viewports. Children clutched small bags. Soldiers stood at every hatch. The exodus had begun. Earth's leaders had told everyone it was a rescue plan, a massive evacuation to new colonies beyond the Council's reach. The broadcasts showed smiling officials and safe destinations, but behind closed doors, the truth was darker. This exodus was bait. From an orbital station hidden in the asteroid belt, Commander Anya Rourke watched the convoys spread out like glittering threads. On her screen, they looked fragile, almost beautiful. She knew what they really were, targets. The Council had learned of humanity's migration and sent fleets to intercept. Rourke and the Hidden War Council had turned that knowledge into a weapon. The exodus would draw the alien armada into a single corridor, a killing zone laced with traps, mines, and ambush fleets that had been waiting for months in deep shadow. Captain Rowan Cole floated in a darkened compartment aboard his damaged ship, still holding the activation module. He had not yet spoken the word. The Council attack had crippled his engines, but not his resolve. A covert tug had found him and dragged him to safety near Neptune, where a hidden fleet of human ships gathered in silence. Through flickering screens, he watched the exodus unfold and understood his part. The module he carried would not just awaken the weapon under the ice. It would link it to the trap itself. In Council space, alien admirals watched the same movements with cold satisfaction. To them, the evacuation was proof of human weakness. They believed they had forced Earth to run, and they intended to annihilate the convoys to make an example of the species. Sleek hunter carriers and plasma destroyers moved into the corridor between Jupiter and the Kuiper Belt, unaware of the sensor buoys hidden among the rocks, the mines buried in dust clouds, the heavy cruisers waiting without lights. Every minute, more human ships streamed outward, broadcasting false pleas for help to make the trap seem real. Mothers wept over silent radios. Soldiers whispered last prayers. Even the crews on the bait ships didn't know the full plan. They believed they were really evacuating. Only a handful of commanders understood how deadly their course was meant to be. In an underground control room on Luna, Grant whispered, "They're taking the bait." His fingers traced the blinking icons of the Council fleets on a giant map. "But if they realize too soon, they won't," Rourke said, though her eyes were tired. "They think we're desperate. That's our weapon." She glanced at the timer counting down to Cole's signal. When it hit 0, the word would be spoken, and the trap would snap shut. Far out in the dark, the first Council ships entered the corridor. Hidden mines drifted, armed but waiting. Silent human drones trailed the enemy, feeding targeting data back to command. Cole's ship powered up just enough to transmit on a secure line. He received a single code, "Prepare." He opened the steel case. The module glowed faintly, as if aware. Around him, his crew stared, pale and silent. They had all seen the convoys. They all thought their families were aboard. He could feel their unspoken fear. If this trap failed, everyone they loved would die. On Mars' orbit, the last of the evacuation ships rose from the docks. Cameras broadcast the liftoff to every screen on Earth. People cheered, not knowing what waited in the dark beyond Neptune. In council war rooms, alien commanders leaned forward, hungry for victory. Rowan Cole closed his eyes and took a breath. The word rested on his tongue like a spark, one syllable to trigger everything, but he still had not been told what it would do. Would it shield the convoys? Would it unleash the forbidden weapon? Would it tear open space itself? He didn't know. He only knew the countdown was almost over. Rourke stared at the clock. Grant's voice shook. 10 seconds, she whispered. Hold steady, Rowan. Lights dimmed. Screens flickered. The trap was set. Now everything depended on the word, and on whether humanity had outsmarted its hunters or walked into its own doom. The scene fades as the first council cruisers cross the invisible line of the trap, unaware of the silent weapons and sleeping power all around them, and unaware that far away, one human captain is about to speak a single word that could change the fate of every life in the convoys. A pale light flickered across Captain Rowan Cole's face as the countdown reached 0. Around him, the bridge of the crippled ship was silent except for the soft hum of life support. The module in his hands pulsed like a heart. Every screen showed the same image. The convoys streaming through the corridor, council warships closing like predators. Somewhere inside those convoys were his own people. Somewhere beyond Neptune, the forbidden weapon still slept under ice. He raised the module to his lips. One syllable, one sound. His crew held their breath. Outside the viewport, a council destroyer slid closer, weapons armed. Cole spoke the word. It was not a shout. It was a whisper, a single note that seemed to vanish as soon as it left his mouth. But the module flashed white. Invisible waves rippled outward faster than light, threading through the sensor buoys, the hidden mines, and finally down into the deep ice where Anya Rourke's weapon waited. Circuits built in secret, etched by human and alien hands alike, woke and began to burn. In the silence between planets, the trap came alive. On Luna, Rourke staggered as her screens exploded with new data. Grant's eyes widened. "He said it," he breathed. All across the corridor, hidden weapons powered up. Dormant satellites unfolded panels, mines blinked awake, stealth cruisers lit their drives. The human fleet, silent for months, rose from hiding like shadows given form. The alien admirals in Council Command watched their sensors flood with ghost contacts, then with real ones. Their formation faltered. Aboard the bait convoys, civilian pilots saw the stars flicker and felt their ships vibrate. They didn't know why, but their comms cleared. Their engines gained power, their shields surged. The word had touched them too, boosting systems with energy drawn from the hidden weapon's core. Fear turned to confusion. Confusion to a flicker of hope. In the corridor, the first trap detonated. A dust cloud erupted into plasma, shredding 2 council scouts. Mines ignited in patterns, cutting off retreat. Human cruisers fired from behind rocks and moons, striking with weapons no one had seen before. The trap was not just a line of explosives. It was a web, a living network controlled by the word Cole had spoken. Every move of the enemy triggered another surprise. Cole's ship lurched as power flooded its systems. Damaged panels blinked green. His crew stared at the readouts. "Captain, we're whole again," someone whispered. Cole gripped the armrest. "Then we fight." He ordered a burn straight into the council flank, his ship reborn as part of the spark he had just unleashed. In council space, panic spread. The aliens had thought they were crushing a desperate flight. Now they were trapped in a corridor of fire, every escape blocked, every weapon countered. Reports of ships lost came faster and faster. An admiral screamed orders, but the web tightened. Humanity had not fled. Humanity had waited. On Earth, millions watching the evacuation feeds saw flashes of light in the darkness beyond Neptune. They didn't know yet what it meant, only that something enormous was happening. Rourke closed her eyes. "It worked," she whispered. Grant's voice shook. "It's only the beginning." Cole's ship passed through the wreckage of a council carrier. The module in his hand dimmed. He felt the echo of the word still humming in his bones. It was only a spark, but it had lit a fire. The trap was sprung. The galaxy would never see humanity as weak again. Yet deep inside, he sensed the cost had only begun. The weapon under the ice was still waking, still drawing power, still preparing something far greater. The screen fades as Cole stares into the burning corridor, council ships dying around him, and realizes that the single word he spoke has changed the war, but may also have unleashed something no one can control. Flames of wrecked ships burned cold in the black between planets. Where the corridor had been quiet space, now there was a graveyard of broken hulls and drifting bodies. The trap had worked. Council cruisers were shattered. Hunter carriers scattered, their communications in chaos. For the first time in centuries, the great alien fleet had been caught and bloodied. Captain Rowan Cole stood on the bridge, staring at the glowing tactical screen. His ship and dozens of others now held the corridor. The module lay dark on the console, the echo of the word still pulsing in his chest. He had spoken it only once, but its power continued to spread through hidden networks, weapons and minds. Around him, his crew whispered as they watched Council warships retreat. On Luna, Anya Rourke listened to thousands of transmissions at once. Human pilots cheering. Civilians crying. Signals from the forbidden weapon under Antarctica still rising, like a tide. Grant leaned close and murmured, "We just broke the Council's spine." She didn't smile. "We also just showed our hand." She tapped a screen showing distant stars, blinking with fresh activity. "They're going to regroup." And not only them. In far space, neutral worlds and old allies watched the battle unfold on pirate feeds. For years they had believed Earth was weak, a latecomer to the stars. Now across dozens of systems, leaders whispered new calculations. Some feared humanity's hidden strength. Others saw an opportunity. On the grey moon of Via, a reptilian envoy ordered a secret message sent to Earth. On a gas giant station, a mechanical species halted its trade with the Council. The word had not only triggered a trap, it had sent shockwaves through every alliance in known space. Cole's ship drifted near the wreckage of a Council dreadnought. He could see alien escape pods tumbling past, their beacon lights blinking. "Do we rescue them?" his first officer asked. Cole stared at the pods, thinking of his family lost at Barnard's Star. "We're not like them," he said quietly. "Pick up who we can." His crew obeyed without comment. In the distance, another Council flotilla appeared on sensors, but it didn't advance. It turned and fled. Back on Earth, crowds filled the streets under grey skies, watching the feeds in silence. They had been told it was an evacuation. Now they saw human warships rising like hidden teeth and alien ships burning. Fear mixed with pride. People cheered and wept at the same time. In hidden rooms, Earth's leaders argued about what to do next. Should they press the advantage? Should they reveal the forbidden weapon? Should they seek new allies before the Council struck back? In a sealed chamber beneath the ice, the weapon continued to wake. Its systems reached out, quietly touching old signals, sending whispers into the void. Rourke saw fragments of messages on her screen that she didn't understand. Not human, not alien, something older. "It's drawing attention," she murmured. Grant frowned. "From who?" She didn't answer. Far beyond the corridor, the Council's High Assembly sat in emergency session. Some called for an immediate armistice. Others demanded total war. Reports from frontier sectors spoke of uprisings, of colonies switching sides, of long-time allies now refusing orders. The Council's unity cracked like thin ice. On the bridge, Cole watched the stars themselves seem to flicker. His sensors showed ships moving in places where none had been before. Observers, spies, perhaps something else. He tightened his fists. This was just the first blow, he thought. Now the real war begins. As the episode closes, the camera drifts outward from Cole's ship, past the debris, past the trembling Council fleets, out to the rim of the galaxy, where silent watchers lean closer. The word has been spoken, the trap has sprung, and now every power in the stars is deciding what to do about a species that will not die quietly. The void was alive with light and motion. Debris from shattered Council cruisers drifted across the corridor like silver leaves in a storm. Beyond the wreckage, fleets from neutral worlds hesitated, watching humanity's power ripple outward like a tide. Earth's hidden weapons, the forbidden system under Antarctica, and the fleets commanded by Captain Rowan Cole had changed everything. For centuries, humans had been underestimated. Now the galaxy trembled. Cole stood on the bridge of his ship, eyes fixed on a massive Council dreadnought that had survived the earlier ambush. Its hull was scarred, but it moved with purpose. Sensors showed reinforcements approaching from deep space. Ships from distant sectors loyal to the Council, faster and more numerous than anything humans had faced before. Around him the crew held their positions, hands steady, breathing shallow. The word had given them a spark, but now they needed to turn it into a fire. On Earth, leaders watched feeds from all corners of the solar system. They saw the Council fleets approaching, calculated the trajectories of the weapons' pulses, and finally understood the magnitude of what they had unleashed. Anya Rourke stood at the command console, fingers hovering over the last manual override. The forbidden weapon hummed like a living thing beneath the ice, waiting. Grant leaned over her shoulder, whispering, "Are we ready?" She nodded slowly. "We've been ready our whole lives. Now we see who the betrayers really are." Cole activated the hidden fleet's engines, slipping past debris fields and moving into positions no Council ship could anticipate. His module remained dark, but its influence lingered, guiding systems and fleets in perfect synchronization. Each human ship, though outnumbered, became a single strike point in a network no alien logic could predict. They were no longer just defenders. They were hunters. The Council's dreadnought fired first. Plasma beams tore through the wreckage, but human shields held. Mines hidden along the corridor exploded in precise timing, disabling engines and ripping apart formations. Human frigates flanked the Council vessels, using the forbidden weapon's energy pulses to jam targeting systems and disrupt communications. Cole's ship cut through the chaos like a blade, dodging fire and guiding the fleet into tighter formations. Then, from beneath Antarctica, the forbidden weapon awoke fully. Energy pulses shot into orbit, slicing through Council warships as if space itself obeyed humanity. Systems that had once been secret and dormant now came alive, targeting the enemy without hesitation. The Council fleet, for the first time, experienced confusion, fear, and desperation. Every attack they launched failed. Every retreat was blocked. Humans had taken the game into their own hands. On Earth, citizens watched the skies light up as if the stars themselves were bending to the humans' will. News channels broadcast images of alien ships burning, human fleets moving in perfect harmony, and unknown phenomena disrupting enemy weapons. People cheered, wept, and whispered to one another, "This is our species. This is humanity." Rourke and Grant monitored the weapons spread. "It's not just defense," Rourke said, voice trembling. "It's judgment. Council forces that had betrayed humanity, that had attempted to destroy Earth and its colonies, now faced the full reckoning. Ships that had once ordered disappearances, detainments, and secret attacks were disabled, captured, or destroyed. Humanity's vengeance was precise, surgical, and undeniable. Cole's ship approached the surviving Council flagship. Communications channels flickered to life. Her voice, trembling, crackled through, "Humans, we surrender." Cole looked at his crew, then raised the module. He did not speak. The word had already done its work. The Council knew their fate without a single syllable more. Above Earth, relief spread as fleets returned. Survivors from distant colonies reported being freed from Council patrols. Allies that had hesitated now came forward, offering support, supplies, and pledges of loyalty. The galaxy had seen humanity not as a weak upstart, not as a species to be controlled, but as a power that could not be ignored. In the aftermath, Rourke and Grant walked through Antarctica's cavern. The forbidden weapon now hummed quietly, dormant again, as if satisfied. "We've survived," Grant said. "We've done more than survive. We've proven who we are." Rourke nodded. "They will never betray humanity again." Cole returned to Earth, greeted by cheering crowds and the quiet respect of a fleet that had faced annihilation and returned stronger. He looked to the stars, knowing this victory was only the first chapter of a new era. Humanity had shaken the galaxy, and the Council, along with every alien power that underestimated them, would remember it forever. As the final scene closes, the camera pulls back to show the solar system from afar. Human ships gleam like silver threads. Stars flicker. Somewhere beyond, Council fleets lick their wounds and reconsider everything they thought they knew. And in the cold, dark reaches of space, the word remains, a single spark that became a storm, a symbol of humanity's unyielding spirit. The screen fades to black. The audience is left with the certainty that humanity, once betrayed, now commands the galaxy's attention. Unstoppable, unbroken, and united.